5 months after publicly rejecting Real Madrid and signing a deal that made him the highest paid footballer ever, Mbappe wants to leave PSG. And I can probably guess what you all called him when he made this decision. A bumbling idiot, an undecided twat, a petulant child, an unappreciative prick, a teenage mutant ninja turtle. Mbappe only wants one of two things from football, money or power. And because he only got one of those from PSG, he wants to leave. That's not true. Are we just gonna ignore the fact that PSG failed to fulfill a number of gentleman agreements on the deal? Are we just gonna ignore the fact that he's being played out of possession? With a team and players that compromise his best abilities, and a team where everyone is ball demanding. All this after he was promised a striker as part of the deal in him extending. Are we just gonna ignore the fact that PSG failed to fulfill a promise and live up to expectations that led to Mbappe rejecting the mercurial club and staying at his hometown club? But no, it's all Mbappe's fault. He's a crybaby who doesn't know what he wants from his career. Come on, people. Yes, PSG did offer Mbappe a lot of money to stay. I mean, it's rumored that on the morning of the 21st of May, 2022, a 15,000 kilogram 18-wheeler truck backed up in the posh suburbs of Paris and dumped a truckload of money. Let's not act like Real Madrid's offer was not competitive. Money was not the only deciding factor for Mbappe staying at PSG. In fact, there was so much, not least the political pressure. This was the mayor of Paris 5 months before Mbappe put pen to paper. Quote, "I don't have a bribe, but I just want to say that we love him so much." Yeah, no undertones over there. And if that's not enough, Mbappe admitted to having a conversation with the president of France, compelling him to stay.
To President Macron, he was quite integral in the decision.
Yeah, I talk a lot with him.
There's no way he was leaving. But even if we look past the more nefarious stuff, people tend to forget that Mbappe is not only a Frenchman, but is Parisian. The decision for Mbappe to stay at PSG was as much emotional as it was financial. I mean, come on people, we all suck off Francisco Totti and Steven Gerrard, although he was desperate to go to Chelsea, for being essentially one club man. Can Mbappe rival at the fact that he could win something special with a club that he grew up just 40 minutes from? Mbappe's decision to stay at PSG wasn't just financial. It was about being a Frenchman and winning something big with the biggest French club. And it was also the fact that PSG offered him the world. Now, as part of the strategy to make Mbappe stay at PSG, they offered him a new direction for PSG to go to. They decided to hire not one, but two directors of football. The legendary Luis Campos and Kylian Mbappe himself. Now, as part of Mbappe's first action as the PSG director of football, he wanted Neymar gone. That's a rumor. We don't know if that's true or not. But we'll come back to it. Keep it in mind. I'll explain why it makes sense later on. Mbappe wanted PSG to acquire players who would allow him to play to the best of his abilities. The first of which being a centre-back, because PSG was short in that department. The second being a left-back, someone to deputize Nuno Mendes so that Mbappe can have someone to interchange with on his preferred left wing consistently. Like how Vinicius has Ferland Mendy, or Rafael Leao has Theo Hernandez. And the most important, a number 9, someone will allow Mbappe to play in his best position, someone to interchange with, a big man, like he has in France. But if you've noticed, PSG have made none of those signings. Mbappe's career as director of football has been disastrous, failing to acquire his first targets in his first transfer window. But in all fairness, you can see why PSG don't want to go on with it. Too many of these targets, they were just unattainable. As part of PSG's promise to Mbappe, they were going to be a properly run club, which means having a clever transfer strategy. Less spunking on overpriced players on high wages, more streamlined, more intelligent, and not being finessed by smaller clubs who are taking advantage of PSG's position. Take for example Gianluca Scamacca. That player was overpriced, so Sula wanted way too much for a player of that quality. Though PSG would have spent all that money on him, or even paid even more just to sweeten the deal. But the new PSG is smart, save your money, invested on a preferred target of a higher quality. Or Robert Lewandowski, an elite striker who had his mind set at Barcelona. The old PSG would have given him so much money he could not refuse it. But the new PSG doesn't want to give 100 million contracts to plus 30-year-olds. Not under Luis Campos. That's not how you win the Champions League. So they remain patient, wait another season, another transfer window, and not force things. Kudos to PSG. That's very good. It's very surprising for them. You don't expect it from them. But from an Mbappe perspective, this is disastrous. He turned down playing for a club of his dreams on account that you are going to build a team around him with players that he wanted in a system that perfectly suits him. He doesn't want to wait the window to get your preferred targets. He doesn't have to wait the window at Real Madrid. He would be playing with his preferred striker, the man he plays with in the French national team. By that context alone, Mbappe has the right to feel aggrieved by PSG. Even if it doesn't mean that he gets to handpick targets, just give him players that work for him. You promised him that. But no, this system works against him. This system is not perfect for Mbappe. I've already mentioned that Mbappe's best position is the left wing. I mean, he can't stop going on about it. But it's true. Every time Mbappe is at his best periods of form, it's been on the left wing. Whether for France or for PSG when Neymar isn't available. I mean, which is a lot of times. The man is always injured. Or, injured. But here's the problem. Mbappe has only seen left wing, well, not even once this season. He hasn't played left wing once this season. He's been played mostly as a striker or alongside Messi as a front two. Or even on the right wing. Essentially, Neymar has preference on that left wing.
I didn't like to play high and wide at Barcelona. I hated it. But I had to do it for the team. I had to go and play on the left. I didn't hear anyone saying, oh, what a nice gesture to go and play on the left for others are less goals than me and less caps. But at one point, I always remember there's only one rule. The boss is asking you to do something. You do it for the good of the team.
That's all well and good, Thierry. But here's the thing. Mbappe was essentially promised the world at PSG. He could have gone to Real Madrid and quite happily compromised. Play as a second striker alongside Benzema. Or even on the right wing to compromise for Vinicius. Heck, he could have even played wingback. He could have even played as a goalkeeper. It's Real Madrid, for Pete's sake. But at PSG, it's not just about the status of the club. Them being less than Real Madrid. Less than Mbappe. But also what they promised him at PSG. This was supposed to be Mbappe's PSG. Not Luis Campos, not Messi's, not Neymar's, not even Gaetier's. The system was supposed to be built around Mbappe, with a striker that complements his needs. With creators like Messi, making sure that Mbappe is the final pass. And in regards to Neymar, there's not enough evidence that points that this was true. That this rumor of Mbappe wanting to get rid of Neymar is true. But consider this. If Mbappe was actually given his preferred position and played on the left wing in a Gaetier system, where would Neymar play? This season, Messi and Neymar are rekindling the relationship, the one they had at Barcelona, with numbers that go through the roof. Mbappe isn't doing too bad himself, but quite clearly, he is third-wheeling. This has become Gaetier's PSG, assembled by Luis Campos, with star acts from Messi and Neymar Jr. Mbappe is a supporting cast member, clearly not what he signed up for. And in that context, Mbappe has every right to want to leave PSG. It's not what they offered. What made this deal incredibly stupid is the fact that the club was directly contradicting itself when it came to what they offered Mbappe and when they actually signed the contract. Nasser Khalifi said it himself. He doesn't want flashy bling bling anymore. You want to be more of a sound club that focuses on scouting and finding hidden gems. You hired Luis Campos, a director of football who defeated PSG twice in Liga with a tiny budget. Still give out competitive wages, but not inflated. And you will give a coach ultimate power over a team to do what he wants. And no more player power. You contradicted this as soon as you signed Mbappe. If Mbappe was smart, he could have seen this. He could have seen how deluded this idea was. Of a club that wanted to change things and run itself more like a Bayern Munich, a Liverpool, a Manchester City, a Real Madrid, but gives one player all the power in the world to run things. You're just happy that their player is you. But a promise is a promise, and PSG failed to uphold it. In that regard, Mbappe has every right to want to leave Paris Saint-Germain. Subscribe.